Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. I greet you in my traditional, always I say, a BB448. That's African Liberation and Tree. I just labeled this video. I just called this Thinking. Because I'm just in thought mode right now. But before I just kind of like just talk to my people, I was trying to, you know how I am with comments. I was trying to respond to a person named Shanti G on my comments. And I hope the person watches this. In my last video about fat shaming, dealing with Twister and Gabrielle Sidibe, I made a statement, and this is where we see we're not ready to have certain conversations. We're not ready to have certain conversations as a people because we're just simply not mature enough in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, you simply just don't know enough. And that's not like saying like superiority, oh, I am this person that just knows everything. No. A wise man knows he don't know everything. Only a fool thinks they know everything. So anyway, the female, I'm assuming, she goes to say how my video was a contradiction because I made the statement about homosexuality or being rejected by the opposite sex can turn. And see what was so problematic about your statement and her statement, and if she's watching or if she watched, what was so problematic was this assumption because I'm this way, this is how everybody is. You made the comment of you were just not attracted to men, and you said that's how did she word it? I don't want to misquote somebody. How did she word it? You said that you weren't rejected. Rejection has nothing to do with homosexuality because you weren't rejected. You just wasn't attracted to men. And if I misquote you, I apologize. Or correct me. Because I like to be, I don't say corrected, but it's a conversation. But where we need to learn, if you are a sister, you really need to learn what you are embedded in. Everything has an origin. So you'll hear me if you've watched any of my other videos, maybe you haven't. But you'll hear me say homosexuality never, ever, ever, from the first dynastic period up until, I would say, 12. You cannot find homosexuality indigenous to African culture. Now, if you are a sister, this is not for you. You may enjoy that sexual lifestyle, but you also said that you weren't confused. And anytime you are dealing with the same sex, not only are you confused, but it's genocide. So whenever you're dealing with the same sex, can you reproduce naturally? We're not talking about the little loopholes. We're not talking about adoption. We're talking about natural. If the system of racism, white terrorism annihilates everybody, and you in your current situation are the only two people left. If you are with a woman and you're the only two people left on earth, can you naturally produce life? Yes or no? So if you can't naturally produce life, then that's the end of humanity. Am I not correct? See, what you did was made a blanket statement or you made an emotional response because you didn't listen at the entire video. You just took the part out that I said about homosexuality that you didn't like and you responded to it. No truth. See, that's the problem when people come at you with just emotion. You got to do your homework. So with me telling you that homosexuality did not start in Africa, from the first dynastic period, it did not start. You must read a book you can read, Plato's Symposium. Read K.J. Dover's Homosexuality in Greece. See, you gotta understand instead of just being something, y'all just respond and then you'll tell me. See, what happened also, then you said you can't speak on being disabled. Like I can't speak on being homosexuality. You're partially correct. Because like I was trying to respond to your comment, homosexuality is a choice. That is a choice you make. And guess what? When you're done with that choice, you can always fly straight. Can you not? But with me, there is no choice. I didn't choose this. You act like I was there and I said, no, don't give me no strong legs. Give me the little messed up legs. No, give me them ones back there. See, I didn't have that choice. See, y'all make emotional comments. And you need to shut up and read. Shut your mouth. So what I was telling you also was that homosexuality, a person can turn homosexual just based off of being rejected so long by the opposite sex. Because if you understood the video, which you didn't because you only responded to what you want to, you'll understand also in the video, I said that the rejection, because everybody want to feel love. Did I not say that? Everybody wants to feel love. Everybody wants to be with somebody. So they make a choice. If a male has been trying to get with the female sex for years and years, and he's just not having luck, but he isn't aware of who he is because it is confusion. It is confusion if your girl thinks she's a man. Not only is she confused, but she is mentally ill. I thank you. I thank you for your comment. Not mad. Because sometimes people just need to be educated to their ignorance. That's all. You can make a choice. Homosexuality can also be if you are in prison. He didn't go in like that, but he came out like that. See, there are so many avenues. You just made it off of yours of how you were. Like you spoke for all lesbians over the world. But anyway, I just wanted to respond to your comment. And I wanted to give you a good answer. But yeah, I'm just, it's just thinking. And that's what it is. I just want my people, no matter our state of confusion, because we're all mental-sidal. I'm not coming down on somebody because I think I'm better than them. I'm no better than nobody. But I am aware of who I am. And sometimes this disability, this is a hard thing. That's why I mentioned the sister, Sweet Mom for Life. I mentioned that sister because that sister's son, if I'm not mistaken, he has cerebral palsy. And for so long, like, you're taught to hide yourself. I'm 39 years old and I'm still learning how to deal with life with this condition. And that's why I was so, stern. Because that female she made her emotional, she human. Yeah. But, this is a hard life. But you can't be weak. And what I'm learning, because there are layers to me. There's so many layers. So not only, I know myself, but I'm also still learning myself. I'm also still learning myself. I learn myself daily. Like a lot of us, how good are you with taking criticism or critiquing? That was just like when I did the Tavistock Institute video, and that's some powerful stuff. That's some powerful stuff that y'all should really read and look at some of the videos, and you'll see if that person watches this video, Tavistock Institute, you must learn. It tells you how the shaping, and it tells you how homosexuality came to be. It tells you how it was orchestrated. It was on the agenda. So that's the thing. We have to know how things got here, and we've been stuck in the matrix for so long. We've been stuck in the matrix for so long that we think everything is normal. For example, what I mean, I'm 39. So for my 39 years, genocide has been happening. Quote unquote, black on black crime has been happening for my entire 39 years. But I've only been here 39 years. I may have been here multiple lifetimes, but I've only physically been in this body for 39 years. So I only have 39 years of experience, a 39-year-old scope. There's still only so much. Malcolm, if I'm not mistaken, the Honorable Malcolm X was 39. I don't know if Dr. King was 38, 39. I may have to fact check that. But these brothers was around that age. But they had done so much. They had done they done so much. And another, like that's what I'm finding, like when you're on this journey. Like even though Tupac was only like 25, he did a lot in those 25 years. And that's a person, I don't know if I said that on these videos, but that's a person that really has, he really influenced me. But yeah, we but back to the point of what I was making with that was, for my 39 years, things have been happening. But everything has an origin. By us being stuck in this matrix, we feel like because you may, for example, you may only be 35, nobody in particular, but you may only be 35, you may be only 37. And so many things happen. But in the formation of things, like Earth, in the beginning, in the evolution of things, in the beginning of things, there was no such thing as us murdering each other just for no reason. These things were stages, if I'm making sense. These things were stages. After the lynchings died down, what was one of the main ways they began to kill us then? They began to take us off the trees, and they slowly brought us into, quote unquote, doing it ourselves, causing our own demise. And there's so many trap doors. There's drugs, there's homosexuality, there's just murder, genocide, quote unquote, black on black crime. And and that's why I just call this video thinking, because I'm just, sometimes you just need to kind of unpack, but it's not a ramble. But you need just to unpack the mind. Anybody ever kind of feel like that? Where you just need to unpack the mind. You need to unpack the spirit. You need to unpack a lot of the wound up energy that you might have. That's why I called, and that's why I said, that's why I call this video thinking, because it's just some thoughts. I come on a lot of times, and sometimes we never even really kind of know the people that have. Everybody has a YouTube channel. No, but how well, like people like Polite, how well do we know, some of these YouTube names? Pharaoh, sometimes you have to, you know, this matrix is just crazy. Yeah. But it was nothing particular like per se that I wanted to touch on. And like but back to, wrap around, shout out to mothers that have children with, quote unquote special needs. And as I'm learning myself, I'm still learning to deal with my cerebral palsy. So even though I have like a ton of like this warrior energy, I also have a shy side. I could be so outgoing and extrovert, but then I could be also so introvert. And I tell you, you have to be mentally. A lot of times, you have to be mentally strong when you have like a condition. Because I'm really now, y'all, just getting to the point where, like I said, I'm 39, right? So I'm just getting to a point where I can be comfortable. Because a lot of times, why I did that video also about fat shaming, because we height shame. So it's like, can a person be really, 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 intimate with you and, still share knowledge? I feel like a lot of times with a lot of YouTube personalities, a lot of these Facebook personalities, we know the image, we know the mind, we know the knowledge. But do we know like the struggles? And that doesn't mean nobody, have to tell their quote unquote sad story, but, kind of like what you've been through. And so a lot of times there's this sense of, and I'm gonna make sure in case this sister listening to my video, unlike you, I do not speak up for every person that has a disability. But for me, it can be kind of, you isolate yourself. Because like I said, back to what I was saying, like when I was doing the fat shaming video and I was talking about Twister, a lot of times, you kind of, I know a person that I know that, you can kind of put being overweight and disabled in the same category. Because people judge you and not want to be with you based on this physical thing. And I think we all have it. I think we all have like these hangups. But what gets me is like when we manipulate or when we use a person or when we hurt a person because that person is not your type. You'll play with a person because this person isn't what you. That's what I mean when I'm like shaming and like that's wrong. That's messed up. Because a lot of times, growing up with this condition, I didn't have a lot of friends. Because you're such a rarity, and a lot of times if you're not, and I wasn't one that was ever in like a special education, quote unquote special education. My brain was with the quote unquote normal children. So um, a lot of times you're a rarity in your circle. And y'all just think, how many people in your family, in your direct, immediate family, how many people in your families, how many of you have like siblings with a disability? How many of you have I'm talking about physical, where you have something like I have cerebral palsy? How many people in your family may have Down syndrome? So you get what I'm saying? Like it's not like it's common. So how the world is, if something is not common, then it's shunned. If that makes sense. If it's not common, it's shunned. It's beat down. It's looked as ugly. And that's on the same lines of something not being desirable. A lot of times when they put big people in videos, or they put, they always show them in such a negative light. Not always to the person. It's just like, okay, another thing, when they're doing like short brothers. I'm a short man. And that's one thing. You also have to get comfortable. You have to like own your shit. You have to learn to be comfortable with your flaws. And everybody tell you this stuff like, oh, like it's some self-help. Oh, like, you just have to be confident, and you have to. It's not always that easy. Am I right? Makes sense? It's not always that easy just to be, because I'm telling you, what I learned is just dealing with people and being with people, because people talk to me. It's some of the most beautiful people. They don't have really high self-esteem. They're just pretty. They're just handsome. Everybody flocks to them because just how they look, because of their physical. So a lot of times, like, that's why I always say things like Tavistock, where they use like television programming. It tells you right there, television programming. In this programming, okay, it's like, take like Family Matters, for instance. Now, the character of Steve Urkel, not Jaleel White, Steve Urkel. He was a quote unquote nerd. So just think back. This is a show I grew up on. Just think back how he was depicted. Now, dig this. This is I would debate. I would contend. Me personally. This is just my opinion. I would contend that had something to do in how young ladies chose the men that they were with. Because notice when they brought like this image in, this quote unquote bad boy image, this bad boy. When they brought this kind of like thug image in, this kind of like, and like I said, I talked to a lot of people, so I talk to sisters and I understand why, they kind of like that energy. Yeah. But also in that, they started to downplay and make the nice brother look like a punk. Or in the case of Family Matters, Steve was very intelligent and he loved the ground Laura walked on. But how did she treat him? Because the TV kind of, in a way, told us that having brains was a bad thing. Being smart was not cool. You follow what I'm saying? So in this same thing with like having a disability, it's already not, you know what I'm saying? And there are some different people, handsome people but for the most, in those cases, like it was considered, they gave nerd like this, they gave brains identity and called it being a nerd. And it was made to look geeky. Once again, undesirable. But the character of that person, if y'all get what I'm saying, the character of that person was very genuine, was it not? And so I think it was kind of like it clouded a lot of people's vision. You know, just like I said, I use another one, Martin. When we look at the essence of these characters that they gave us, Martin was very kind of like chauvinistic. And this was influential in teaching young black men. Somehow along the line of way, because we began to adopt the notion that like talking and communicating was strictly for females. So we'll see a lot of show. They say, you know, like My Wife and Kids is a show that I watch. You know, and I'm just thinking of some of the shows that, you know, kind of ring out. And you'll hear kind of like how he's explaining women to his son. And in these things, they're saying things like talking is weak. And I'm not saying this one show, this was the template for a lot of the shows. This was the template of the man emotion. Like every man need to have their man cave. You feel what I'm saying? Every man need to, they gave us these ideas. It was never based on how we were, especially if we was black, it never was how we should protect our women. And it's something I call like the Snoop Dogg effect. Because, and I'm not saying once again, and I'm clarifying it for people that come on here and they just hear what they want to hear. I'm not saying Snoop Dogg was the total cause, because he wasn't. But when he uttered this phrase, it affected the way we thought as black men, young black men, middle-aged black men, period. Now, it's an evolution through music, but I'm just saying because I grew up in this era, so it's in my 39 years of experience. That's why I'm talking about this personally. When he said, we don't love them hoes, we don't understand the vibration from that. We don't understand the blowback from that affected how we looked at our women. Think about that. How we determined not to love. And not only did we say not love the females, but we labeled them as hoes. We labeled them as hoes. Yeah. The disrespect, black sister. Now, through that, this is orchestrated. So, you know, they say, well, you know, people might say, well, she don't respect herself. All of this is orchestrated. You know, so all of this, that's why I use so many TV just to try to see if I can give y'all some examples. But it was just like, you know, having this condition, you know, now everybody's searching for an identity. So females, you know, and they were conditioned in their own way. So females have a tendency to only look at certain type, and we do too as males, but we're talking about females in this specific. Pick a certain type, and sometimes having a condition is not in that desire. How many times have you seen a person with a disability or a person with CP in a Hollywood movie as a leading man or a leading woman that's the object of somebody's affection? See, things have to get introduced to our minds. If it's not introduced to our minds, if Trinidad James don't say, pop the Molly, I'm sweating, woo, it doesn't perpetuate the cycle of selling these drugs, keeping us drugged up out of our minds. Because your mind has to be introduced to something, if I'm making sense. Your mind has to be introduced to homosexuality, gang banging, drug dealing. Another book is Monster Cody, Saika Shakur. And what's interesting about that book, and one part of the book, he says, before he up and he looked up one day, and gang violence was something that it was out of hand. This was an era when cats were still using, at one point, you fist fighting a person. You might have a pistol. But at some point, after the United States wiped out the Panthers, they implemented their agenda. They dropped off guns in the hood. They assigned territories, Bloods, Crips. You defend this, you defend this. All of this imaginary stuff, because our minds have to be introduced to something. That's why we didn't have no Bloods and no Crips. And they wasn't all of this in the 40s. Because it hadn't been orchestrated by the beast yet. This is genocide. This is not of us. This is making us slay each other. This was not our natural alignment. You feel what I'm saying? So back to this, all of this wrapping around, I hope I'm making sense. Things have to be introduced to your mind. And sometimes if something is not popular, that's why I kind of hate how they use and how Kevin Hart allows them to use him. He always makes short men look like the most dorkiest, soft, weakest. They can just docile, just booty draws wearing punk. Because he's their clown. He's their little court gesture that they wind him up and he do everything. And they tell us he's funny. And obviously his last, I used to always tell people, at first, he was funny when he came out. But then at one point, he just now that last special, that wasn't funny. That wasn't funny at all. He ran out of material. Because Hollywood has used him for what they were going to use him for. Cat Williams, he was funny. If Cat Williams would have played ball, Kevin Hart wouldn't even be mentioned. Notice what's his most memorable movie? With me, it's Soul Plane. And he's not even at the height of his career doing Soul Plane. I like 35 and Ticking, and I think that was like a BET movie. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But I don't even think he was in the height of his stuff. Those first stand-up comedy shows was funny. But he got watered down. But yeah, my thing is just how they used him as this, kind of like, how he, portrays short men. Just make us look. Notice all the time they have their set image of how the man, and more specifically, the black man is supposed to look. I don't care nothing about how no white man look. But it's always these same cut and paste. Think about all the movies who they use, like Morris Chestnut, Idris Elba, who are cool brothers and good actors, by the way. But Hollywood has a way of controlling the narrative of what's desirable and what's not. So yeah, on all of this, when's the last person with a disability made sexiest man alive, sexiest woman alive? But they'll put homosexuality as the top. They'll make Bruce Jenner woman of whatever. This stuff is crazy. I'm not calling him no dadgone Caitlyn. Crazy. But it's just crazy, you know. But yeah, nothing special. Like I said, that's why I called this just thinking. You know, it wasn't just one specific thing I wanted to talk about. Sometimes you just want to talk to the people. Sometimes you want to just have a conversation. And sometimes that's how a lot of conversations go, my friends. We talk about so many different subjects because we being worked in so many ways. I mean, this system is a motherfucker. And y'all keep messing around and with them vaccines if y'all want to. Racism, white terrorism, they're terrorists for a reason. America is a terrorist for a reason. You know? So I'm out. I just wanted to say some things, get some things off my mind. You know? So I hope this made sense and you liked it. If you didn't, you'd be all right. So I leave you how I greeted you in the words of BB for Hodier, African liberation for African people. Peace.